This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
The Zach Ratliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Texas, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That way you're updated each time fresh content comes out. And thank you for being part of the Zach Ratliff Show. Hello and welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. This is Dale Holes.
Hey guys.
Yeah, that means it's that time of the week, Dale.
It is. It's Wednesday.
You know, was it last week we came in? No, it wasn't last week because that was Christmas. The week before you came in, internet died. We tried to make a show. We wound up just going to lunch.
Yeah. You know what? Let's go eat. Work for me.
Anyway, thanks for coming back in. Thanks for always being in here. I certainly appreciate it. Man, there's a lot going on in the world right now.
You know, it's insane how much things are changing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just like, oh, it's the holidays, you know, everybody's busy doing this and that. No, this country is changing.
You know, it is changing. And one of the things I hit on today's Wednesday, on Monday was when I was young and I was told to clean my room, it got a lot messier before it got better.
Right, yeah.
And that's where we are locally with our party. You know, there's some shenanigans going on. Statewide, definitely. Nationwide, for sure. Everything goes crazy when you're trying to make it better.
It is. I mean, and it's even filtering down into the local levels too, you know. It's like people are becoming more aware of what's going on. We've sort of been down, you know, stuck in a bubble, you know.
Right.
You know, the politics is so bad, it's everywhere. All we want to do is live our lives.
Just leave us alone.
Leave us alone. We don't. But you know what? With everything that's come to light, after everything we've seen in the last 4 years, you know, well, 5 years now.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, you know, I see the difference. I can see the difference.
Well, and here's my problem. I think everyone in a position of authority and power is lying to me now. Republicans, Democrats, and maybe they always have been.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, you work for NASA. You know the real lies, you know?
But the big ones that count.
Yeah, that's right. The one that you can't talk about. Wink, wink. You know? But they've been lying. You know, turns out Nixon was taken out by the CIA. Kennedy was taken out by this, which everybody, suspected. But now there's pretty much proof out there. Well, we're just not going to talk about it.
Right.
And then you go all the way through every level of it.
And, you know, the thing is, over the decades, we've seen all these conspiracies come true.
Yeah.
You know, but once they're exposed, what happens? Nothing.
Nothing. And that's kind of the problem. And we're gonna start off with a bang, but that's kind of the problem with. Look, I understand it takes time. Once someone's indicted, then you have to do the rest of the work.
Right.
We've got a lot of indictments sitting out there right now. We don't have any sandwiches being made. We've just got bread and mustard laying on the counter.
You got to put a scalp on the wall to make it count. You know, they say it's not real until somebody goes to jail.
That's
exactly
it. Right.
That's it.
That's exactly right. All right, let's jump into our first article. This is from Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill of the HHS. And this is on X.com. First of all, thank God for a great day. Thank God for being alive. But thank God for Elon Musk buying X.
Absolutely.
It is now the most sought-after news source. At my last broadcast stop, I was told, why do you always cite X? Nobody listens to X. Nobody cares about that. And I'm like, no wonder we don't see eye to eye.
Right.
You don't even know where to get your news.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not reading Vanity and Cosmopolitan to get my stories.
Yeah, because there's no corporate entity deciding what is straight up no chaser. You know?
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like, this is what it is. you, the people who read this stuff, you get to go decide, go figure it out.
Well,
Because you're not getting everything right there. You're getting the lead.
Right. Well, and then if you doubt it, you can run it through AI real easy. Because I sent one to somebody yesterday, and they sent it back to me. They're like, "Oh, AI said that." I'm like, "Oh, good to know." Because I'm processing a lot of stories every day on top of, life and work and.
Well, I use 3 different AIs myself.
Do you?
Because I don't believe AI every time.
No, you can't. No,
I've seen a lot of mistakes on that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll use Perplexity.
Perplexity.
Yes. And Chat GBT and SuperGrok.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and if the answers come out consistent, I have more faith in that.
Yes.
Because these are independent, entities, for lack of a better word.
Right.
I guess they're getting closer to being real entities.
Yeah, I guess so. It's going to be the
But
spirit of the Antichrist.
we can
for sure.
check, and with just our phones, we can check the veracity of somebody's statement and say what's the truth, what's deeper.
Yeah, there's a thought process that the reason we have so much information now is because of stuff like X. Right? Used to, the big 3 just told you what they wanted you to know, and that was it. Cronkite sat there and he told you what it was, and he had glasses and a suit and a tie, and so he was honorable. No matter if he had shorts on under the desk or not, which I don't know if he did. Hoover, ran the FBI, and he told you what he wanted to know.
And he did wear a dress.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And what he wanted you to know, and didn't matter if he had women's underwear on.
Right.
And funny story, my ex-wife's grandma was a typed for Hoover.
Okay, secretary?
Yeah, I don't know if secretary or whether, but anyway, and said she used to ride the elevator with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so my ex-wife asked her one time, said, "Would you ask him if he was wearing women's underwear?" She says, "You would never." But all that being said, that was your source. You didn't doubt it. Because the people that, after World War II, these guys saved the world.
Yeah.
And we trusted them. And they trusted her that our country was doing what was right. But however, and I know I'm just real rabbit hole on you, but we're going to get there. However, if you read the O'Reilly Martin DeGard book about Patton,
Right.
Patton wanted, they believed that the CIA killed George Patton.
Right.
Because he said the best thing we could do is go ahead and keep going to Moscow.
Right.
And history shows that he was right.
He was.
And so we've been being lied to even since then.
Well, it's kind of funny because you brought up the FBI and Hoover, and you know how bad it was back then where, we got to the McCarthy era.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, the FBI is so bad," and there are all these reforms and such. Isn't it funny that under Obama and Biden that the FBI got back to the Hoover days where people were afraid of them?
Let me read you this from a former FBI agent. Let's see. Let me see. I wasn't prepared for this, but you'll appreciate it.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah. Sorry for the silence, everybody. It says. Here we go. Well, anyway, I've got a lot of messages from him. But what he was saying was the issue with the FBI started, when 2 or 3 FBI directors ago.
Right.
Under the Comey administration, but he traced it back all the way to 9/11. After 9/11, they went and chasing these ghost terrorists instead of finding criminals.
Right.
And his point was once the FBI stopped looking for criminals, everything else, the Somalis, this and that, all that went away because they were no longer investigating what they were set up to investigate.
Right. They were taking on a national security role as opposed to crime,
Yeah.
and that's it. I mean, I remember growing up watching, Hawaii Five-0 and Mike Garrett and FBI and all that stuff, and you watched them and you respected those guys, back then. And now everybody goes, "I ain't talking FBI."
Well, even this guy, he's got an award in his house from Madeleine Albright and one from somebody else. He goes, "I didn't even go for Madeleine Albright to give it to me." Anyway, so Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill says, "We have frozen all child care payments to the state of Minnesota.
You have probably read the serious allegations that the state of Minnesota has funneled millions of taxpayer dollars to fraudulent daycares over the past decade. Yeah.
Yeah, they have.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Billions.
See, that's what I was thinking.
One state out of the 50 states in America.
And I'm sure that's just the only state that, of course, you see what the CNN say now, and this is from Gunther Eagleman, but I saw it myself too. Right on cue, CNN just came out and said, well, it's because they're racist.
Yeah, and they've been doing that for a decade.
At least.
As they've been, because they've known about all this fraud going on in Minnesota for a long time, and anytime anybody tried to investigate it, even ask the questions, it's like, oh, you're a racist.
Well, what happened to their state reps that voted to no longer pay for health care for illegals in Minnesota?
Yeah, boom.
Got them. Took them out.
Yeah, and
like literally, for those listening, they were assassinated.
That's the Democrat Party playbook.
Yeah,
they do that. Now, Minnesota
trying to kill somebody.
Yeah, Minnesota has come up in the limelight now. Everybody's talking about Minnesota,
right? And
Nick Shirley and his expose there,
and thank goodness for it.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, you can tell this is, they say this is fraud on an industrial scale.
Yeah,
this is organized crime, and the thing is, after Shirley, had 130 million hits on his little thing on YouTube, they see now the major broadcasters come back, like CNN and such, and they're like, well, we went to the school, the daycare, and there's children coming in and everything, and then somebody else says, okay, well, let's go talk to the neighbors, and they go, oh no, it's been a ghost town here.
Yeah, they found some kids for you.
Yeah, they trucked them in so they could have that photo op, so they could discredit the journalists and say, there's nothing to see here.
And that's what drives me nuts about, because I often wonder, why don't people see but even like my mom, I love my mom. My mom is highly intelligent.
Right.
At least compared to me, which, but
I've heard that.
Yeah, but she's intelligent. But if you go to her house, she's watching normal news.
Yeah,
just whatever, Fox 4 in Dallas, and that's what she watches. Now, even with that, she was, by the last election, she said, we got to do something, but so everybody's not, and that kind of pulled the scale off eyes. Everybody isn't consuming it like we are. Everybody doesn't see it, which makes running for county chair or running for precinct chair all the more, because we have to educate people as to what's happening.
Right. We have to tell people, we have to work in the communities we live in.
Right.
That's the thing. That's especially with precinct chairs. That you live right in the neighborhood of the people who elect you. Now they say, well, how could they possibly get away with all this fraud? It's easy. Right now they're focusing on the Somali community, the immigrants that came in vast numbers, because their country is
trash.
Yeah, it is just not a functioning country. And
you've been to Somalia?
No, I haven't.
No, you were in Bosnia. I'm sorry.
I was in Bosnia.
Okay, sorry.
But all these people came across, and they settled in these communities, and this is where multiculturalism that we've been taught in our schools for the last couple of decades. When I was in school, it was a melting pot. Right. You came in, you became an American. Right. You weren't a Somali American. You weren't an Italian American even. You were just a plain old American. Just plain old American.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, they come in, they congregate in these communities, and they're there to say, oh, it's for our culture and all that stuff. Well, first of all, you've got a different culture now to assimilate into, but they don't assimilate. And when they come in, they figure out, oh, there's an easy way to scam. These people are taught that when they come over, they say, oh, this is how you get money from the government.
Right.
You will get rich, and you can do this. It doesn't matter if it's, autism. It doesn't matter if it's feeding kids. It doesn't matter if it's daycare. It doesn't matter as long as it's something you can hang your hat on as being compassionate.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. It's not compassion. It's slavery. And it's the same thing. I mean, if we want to get real, which we tend to do. Look at Harlem.
Yeah.
Harlem, they gave away residences when in the 40s and the 50s to the black community. You move in here, you come in here, you can live here for cheap, and just vote for the people that did it. And now, and it's like that in many ghettos across the country.
Look at Chicago, Cabrini Green and such.
Yeah.
You know, those massive housing developments.
Yes.
And they put them in there. The people live in fear and crime and filth.
Or even here, over at Dan Haskins Way at the high rise off North Robinson Road. Same thing. But these people are, and it's not just black people, it's not just white people, it's not just Mexican people, it's all people. And but they're bred, hey, you just keep voting for the Democrat, just keep voting for the Democrat, and they give them enough to survive, never chase their dream, never do anything, have a miserable existence, but they don't know any better, and they keep putting them in power. But here's the problem: all of a sudden, that wasn't working with the black community, so Democrats started bringing in Somalians. They started bringing in Mexicans. They started bringing in Venezuelans. And so then that's why in the last election, the black community started waking up and saying, hey, we got to go vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
They're hurting us.
Exactly. And, you know, the thing is, what we're talking about, it doesn't pertain to any one particular minority group.
That's right.
It can be any minority group. As long as you're saying you're oppressed and we'll give you free stuff, and as long as you vote for us, we'll feed you crumbs and you'll be happy with it.
That's exactly right. Here's this kind of referencing what we're talking about. Elon Musk posted this yesterday on X. It says more than any, it should have an of there, but it doesn't. More than any of the daily readership of all newspapers in America combined, Nick Shirley's Minnesota Somali fraud video crossed 100 million views on X alone 2 days ago.
Exactly.
100 million views.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why they're against X. That's why
Elon Musk struck the greatest blow for freedom of speech ever when he bought X, when he bought Twitter, and turned it into a free speech platform where you weren't censored. There wasn't an algorithm that says, "Oh, you said COVID mask and bad. You can't post that."
Even this show, I've noticed with certain words that are said, and then of course I break it down to clips, and so I'll have a clip get 400, 500, 2,000 views or whatever. But there was one last week or the week before that a word was said, and it's still at 1 view.
1 view?
1 view. And not the whole episode. I'm talking about a 30-second clip, which normally just run through the roof.
Well, you show me where that clip is, I'll double your response.
I will. Yeah, I mean, but it completely shut down. Now, that same clip on Facebook got 2,000 views.
Yeah.
And Facebook's always behind.
Absolutely.
On what YouTube's doing. And then, of course, I didn't check all the other sites that I'm on. But just that one clip. And I thought, if you've ever been silenced on a certain subject, this is it. And I'll still talk about the subject. I just don't want to say that particular phrase because of how it was. But it was talking about Jesus and God and all the things. But it was just a wild thing that phrase, and I know what it was, that phrase cut it out.
Well, don't say it again because I don't want to get canceled here.
Yeah, but I mean, it did. Now, other shows since then have picked up and been fine.
Oh, yeah.
So without X, that's what would happen in everything we do. I want to say this. This is from Matt. I don't want to read this. Matt Van Swole on X.com says, remember when the GOP gave Elon Musk and Doge a standing ovation in front of the American people? He goes, and then only voted on one Doge cut.
Yes.
So, and this is what the Minnesota Somali thing's showing us. We have to keep the fire to the butts on this.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, let's get back into Texas politics. Mm-hmm. When Doge was going on and the legislature was just coming in here in the Texas House, it's like, oh man, we got to have a Doge committee.
Right.
And they did. They put one together. They put a few conservatives on there, a few the rhinos in there, a bunch of Democrats, and it's like, okay, we're going to Doge Texas. What the hell did they do? Nothing.
Well, I even know somebody that, contacted the governor of Arkansas, and
mm-hmm.
She, by all accounts, seems to be a good lady. I don't know her, but this person does, and kind of floated the idea of a Doge Arkansas committee,
mm-hmm.
with ex-corporate execs from Bentonville, Fayetteville area, and Little Rock. And then I asked him about it not long ago, and kind of just withered and died.
Well, when I was there working in the legislature as a legislative director,
In Austin.
in Austin, I tried to get a bill generated that would say, let's contract with the federal government, the federal Doge team,
Yeah.
to come to Texas and do what they're doing for the federal government here in Texas.
Yeah.
Could not get anybody interested in that.
Stay out of our yard.
No.
We don't want you playing in our sandbox.
They go, that's even the ones who like the idea, they go, non-starter. They're not going to do it. They don't really want to do the Doge here.
Because everybody's gotten so used to taking the government handout no matter what. And then I talked about this the other day. My dad mentioned this, and I think the more I think about it, I think he's right. And he usually is. But he's like, look, all these Democrats, all their cities and states are going broke. So they have to fund themselves through stuff like the Somali stuff, through stuff like the California fire response, through all these things, through USAID. And so that's why they can't let it get cut, because we will see how truly broke these states are when all this federal money stops going into them. The left states and the left cities cannot float without all this fraud that's going in. So not just the $1 billion in Minnesota and the billions of dollars in California, and now it's been proven that the election was stolen in Georgia and Nevada. I mean, how many ways do we have to see it to say, I think this is a problem?
Until people out there say, I had enough.
Yeah.
And I believe the guys who are blowing the whistles.
Yeah.
That are saying,
Blow the whistle.
The people who go, yeah, that emperor has no clothes, and everybody goes, oh, the dude's naked.
Yeah.
Until we get to that point. Now,
Look that up if you don't know the reference.
yeah, but we're getting to, I think our country is getting to that point where we are changing the culture.
Yes.
And people are now realizing the deep level of corruption. And it's not just Democrats. I know we can sit here and beat on them all day long, but they are.
Our Republicans are cowards too.
They're not just cowards. They're complicit in a lot of cases with them. And it's like, you hear the phrase "uni party" a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And when you got people who don't stand, if you can't stand on principle and values, you can't stand on anything.
Right.
And that's what these people do. They stand on their personal power and their politics.
What the song used to say, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's where we are.
Yeah, and we need to change that. And that, now I'm going to jump out a little bit.
Yeah,
that's why I'm running for county chair. That's why you're running for precinct chair.
Hey, I had your shirt on for a show on Monday.
Yay, brother.
Yeah, and then it turned out Adam was here. He had it on too. But we didn't plan this.
Well, I would have wore it today, but it's too damn cold.
Yeah, it's cold.
But anyway, that is, I feel a change in this country.
Yeah.
There's a spiritual awakening amongst the youth. There are people who are going, I can't. This is not a country I recognize anymore. The people in charge. That's why I think J.D. Vance is so far ahead in the the presidential sweepstakes polls. Which they've never seen anything like it. This far out, somebody had that kind of lead, and it's like that's because people want a new change. They want a change in leadership because the old guys, they're the problem.
Room, Dale.
It's time to clean that dusty old room.
That's it. And so here's this too. Here's how the cowards on the Republican side are going to try to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
They're already starting to announce their retirements in the U.S. Congress. And this is what they did to Trump the first time. We can't stop it, and the people wanted to keep going. So we're going to all retire so these seats get lost to Democrats.
Right.
That if anybody wants to know why you're seeing all these retirements, it's not in protest of Trump necessarily so much as to sabotage his agenda so that he can't do what we elected him to do.
Well, I got a kind of little bit different take on that.
All right,
It's not to sabotage Trump's agenda. It's they want to take the money and run because they can't stop Trump.
Right.
They will stop him in 3 more years because he will be gone.
Yeah.
But somebody else will take over that may be riding the same wave.
Right.
Now the thing is, I truly believe they're like, oh, you know what? It's been good for me.
Yeah.
But I'll cash my chips in and get the hell out and go sit on a board somewhere and just take a lot of money for nothing. It's better being a rock star, man.
Go be a lobbyist and get paid.
Yes.
And it's just sick the way it all works
But,
up there.
but then again, I wouldn't say that all these seats are going to go right to a Democrat, because actually Trump is running the best midterm campaign he can right now.
Yeah.
By exposing all this blue state fraud.
Yeah.
And showing how all the Democrats in power are actually facilitating it for decades for billions of dollars.
Yeah.
That will mean something, because when it gets right down to elections, it's the economy, stupid. To quote a Democrat.
The old raging Cajun.
That's right. And it's like, and you know what? We're supposed to be getting good rebates on our taxes this year. The economy is kicking into gear like nobody's business.
I was before we came to record the show, I was in a real estate closing, and the buyer got their rate was a 5.5%.
Oh yeah.
On a 30-year. That's solid.
That's good.
I mean,
Not as good as mine. But.
Yeah, right. But I mean, compared to where we were,
Yeah.
that's when I said, okay, maybe it's about time I start thinking. I'm giving it a little more time and let it start kicking down. But
it is. I mean, all the dealer regulation, you can't. It ain't no magic wand you wave and everything's happy.
right, yeah, we got to watch the 10-year Treasury on that.
Right. I mean, even when Reagan was running in his first term and he came in with all his reforms and such that he did, the economy still didn't catch up till after the midterms,
Right.
where he lost a lot then. But you know what? It recovered, and it was enough to win him re-election.
That's why the first 2 years of Biden were okay, because we're still on the Trump high.
Right. And seeing Trump learn something. He goes, oh, you know what? We can't wait business as usual and slowly get our agenda in.
Right.
We go right now. And I've got it all laid out. We're going to do executive orders. We're going to put people in place to go execute. And it's been chaotic a little bit, it seems like, folks.
Which is good, because we don't want it. We want to clean that closet. We want to keep. We here locally, we want to do that. Even here locally, talking about cleaning our closet. I know we'll probably get to this later. We can get to it now. Yes,
Sure.
We have reports. We're not going to say any names of fake Facebook accounts and catfish fake Facebook accounts and all that, trying to sabotage you and
Right.
me and people we know, because the old guard, they don't know what to do, and they don't have any new ideas, and so they're like, oh, we got to double down.
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, you take all this national turmoil, even the state stuff, and you boil it down in just Bowie County.
Yeah.
And we're undergoing a massive change ourselves.
Yeah.
We're having a election judge, not an election judge, a county judge.
Yeah.
We're going to have a change in that. It won't be the same guy that's been there for a long time.
Right.
We're going to have commissioners who are being challenged right
Yeah.
now. There's the DA race is a
It's a
contested
big one right
race.
now.
And
And there's people excited on both sides of that. I mean, that's a strong race.
It is a strong race, and you know what? You can make a good choice in that, and no matter where you go, it will be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
My race,
Yeah.
for the county Republican Party chair, my opponent hasn't ever had an opponent.
Right.
He's just blazed through.
And you and I sat in, when did we sit with him down in New Boston? 2 Thursdays ago?
Yeah, something like that.
And it was civil. It's not like
Yeah.
we're out looking for blood all the time.
Right. Well, we're not.
Yeah.
Because if you keep it policy and politics,
Yeah.
it's like, I ain't gotta hate you to disagree with you.
Right, that's exactly
and,
right.
and if I disagree with you, that doesn't mean I hate you.
That's
Yeah.
right. You and I don't agree on some things.
You don't agree with me on something?
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that.
That's why we both carry.
But supposedly, and I believe this, we still probably want the same things at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We just have vastly different ways of getting there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The old school, the old guard, they want to continue on. To them, they only think that a Republican is if you have the actual R behind your name
Yeah.
in the office you take. That's not true. Republicans are the truck drivers out there,
Yes.
are the farmers, are the teachers. even.
Are the guy running a Kubota dealership, traveling
Yeah.
40 miles a day that listens to this show.
Or a cashier at the junction down in DeKalb. It doesn't matter.
It's
It's what what makes a Republican is what you stand for.
Right, the physician's assistant that you see putting posts out. I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah, so it's not. So you shouldn't be supporting an elected official because they ran as a Republican. You are a Republican, and you're supporting somebody who believes in your values and demonstrates that they do.
Well, we're going to go back to an earlier point that I made. It's about principles.
Yes.
I'm going to elect someone that upholds my principles or vote for someone because I don't know all the questions they're going to get. I don't know all the situations they're going to be in. But if I know their principles, those don't deviate based on circumstance.
Right.
So, for me, and I've said this a lot here lately, number one, I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. I do my best to make him proud every day. I also mess up at times.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm a dad. I'm going to do everything I can to make my little girl proud of me and to set up a world where she can thrive and prosper. If I can improve her station as much as my dad did for me, it would be an amazing thing.
But you know what? I have plenty of opponents across the state that can say the exact same thing you did. But when it comes down to fish or cut bait, they cut bait. They don't fish.
They don't fish.
And that is something that's why we have to have people like you and me to get out there, keep our eyes open, and look and call them out, because you can't have any of that without accountability, without transparency.
That's exactly, which is why you need a strong local party.
Yes.
Strong precinct chair, strong county chair. It's why this apparatus works the way it does. And just like Doge, just like the government, if you have zero accountability, inspect what you expect. That's a lady I used to work for. She said that all the time. We manage banks, and then we'd go around training in banks and stuff. And then she'd come. She'd say, "Zach, you got to inspect what you expect."
Yeah.
And if somebody was failing to do that, you knew so pretty quick. If they didn't inspect, you would see their SOP, standard operating procedure. You would see that somewhere there was. Well, I don't know what's happening. Well, let's go back to the SOP. Are you doing step 1? Yeah. Are you doing step 2? Yeah. Are you doing step 3? No, not really. Okay, there's your problem.
Yeah, and the corollary to that in politics is you only fund what you
exactly
want.
Right.
If you're not funding something, you don't care about it.
Yeah.
So what you care about is what you fund. Look at what they're funding.
Yes.
And
ain't nothing good for us.
No, and you look at these budgets. I mean, I'll take you back to the 89th legislative budget session that we had in the House. We had a budget given to us.
Yep.
It says, here, this is what we're going to pass. And we go, well, we don't like that. A lot of conservatives are like, we don't like that. So they would offer up all these amendments and everything, and they were shut down. And it's like, we raised enough stink that they go, okay, and they start taking on our amendments. They'd cut this, they'd cut that.
Right.
And they didn't do near enough.
Right.
But they started to make some small gains. And at the end of the day, it gets right down to where you got to get to vote on it. And it's like, oh yeah, all those amendments that we all passed as Republicans and even some Democrats, we're going to take all those and we're going to put them in Article 11, which is the trash pile.
Yeah.
And
never make it.
They never made it, and they voted on the budget, and boom, it was almost the exact same budget they first started with. They wasted time and energy in fighting over things that they didn't care about because the fix was in from the beginning, and that's what pisses people off.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. Well, so golly, that's just frustrating.
It is. I mean, to go in there and fight, they would stay up till like 2 a.m. on these budget battles. Fighting for what they could get, fighting for an amendment to make something better, to cut out some wasteful spending.
Right.
And at the end of the day, all that work goes away because they shifted it into another section of the budget that doesn't get voted on, and it was gone.
Man, that's just frustrating. And I'm sure it's defeating to be in your position that you were in as legislative director for Brent Money. It's Brent Money.
Yep.
But then it's also frustrating, and as a citizen, like, why do I keep electing these people? Why do I care? Why do I follow this? They're not doing what I want. But it's because there's some in there that cling to power in such a way. And look, and once again, that's even true at the county level. Clinging to power just so, maybe you never got to sit at the cool kids table. I don't know. And then so this is your end. This is how you get noticed. That you just come hang out anyway.
Well,
I don't know that that's what's happening.
No, what you're saying is true. I mean, I listened to my stepfather for decades, go, it doesn't matter, no matter what we think or say or it makes a difference.
Right.
So they're all corrupt and I'm not voting for anybody.
Right.
But the thing is, I've seen change just in the last almost 20 years. And 2009 is when I really started getting into politics here in Texas. And when I first came in, I joined the Tea Party movement.
Yeah.
And I was all gung-ho and, brand new, didn't know nothing about nothing.
Yeah.
But I knew what was right and what was wrong.
That's exactly right.
And we would go to the Republican Party stuff. I mean, I never fought a Democrat in those early days. I was fighting against Republicans.
That's always the case.
And we would go to, I was in Harris County, and we'd go to this huge executive committee meetings and, and to the local Republican clubs. And the people that were there, they would laugh at us Tea Party people. They go, you don't know nothing. They were right.
Yeah.
We didn't know nothing, but we knew what we believed in.
And principles.
And we knew it wasn't business as usual.
Right.
And we fought. We, the Tea Party people, we took over a lot of the Republican Party. We took over the base because we were the base.
Right.
It's not like we came in there and flipped everybody's minds. We exposed the truth. We talked about our principles. We talked about our values. And we said, that person's not doing it. That person's not doing it. This person is, so you need to follow them. And we got power. Right now, the RPT is a very conservative organization.
We just have to figure out how to push that into the representatives.
Well, you know what? We are. I mean, we actually censured a couple, several.
Bowie County didn't.
Well, Bowie County locally did not. House District 1 did.
Right.
And the RPT took that recommendation and they actually censored somebody.
Right.
Now, the punishment wasn't kicking them out of the party or off the ballot, but it was enough.
It was defunding. So.
It was, and it was, you got a scarlet A on your, chest.
Everybody knew.
Yeah, everybody knew.
Right.
So, we it's a long game. Politics is not a short-term thing. You can have cycles where this party becomes in power, that party becomes in power. But overall, the politics takes a long, long time to reform. But it starts with us.
Yeah. Well, and we just have to keep on. And we have to stay active in talking about it and bringing it up. And that's like, especially with the holidays and everything, I always do. Make sure you talk about these things at Thanksgiving. We can no longer be the silent majority because that did us no good.
Right. That does us no good. In fact, we should be not at just a dinner table. We should be doing this in church, at our work.
Absolutely.
Every place we go and somebody asks you a question or you see something and you make a comment and somebody goes, what?
But Dale, what about the separation of church and state?
Yeah, say, well, where was that in the Constitution?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
see it.
non-existent.
When the Constitution was formed, at least 2 states, maybe more, had state religions. And it took them years to get rid of that.
Yes.
So
you had to be a Christian to even be in some of the state legislatures.
Yes, you did.
I mean,
and so learn your history before you open your mouth.
Well, that's the problem. Look, if I'm wrong, which I am at times, I'll say that's hard, big head like mine is. But I'll be, I got that wrong. But you at least have to be open to getting something wrong. Yeah, well, I mean, look, I talk for over an hour a day, 4 times a week at least.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm going to miss it. Now, do my best, to have guys like you and guys that know more than me to filter this off of, at least a little. You at least know some of the secrets you won't tell me. So we just have to stay active. We just have to keep talking about it. We can't let it, because look, you're a boomer, right?
Yeah.
You guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were raised by the greatest generation.
Yes.
And they told you to sit down, shut up, and speak when it's your turn. Mm-hmm. Right? And so then, then I'm an elder millennial. We're kind of tired of being quiet.
Yeah.
We're what the heck? We've got to do something. And for a long time, millennials were lambasted, except for now our vice president is a millennial.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, we've got to be talking. We can't just keep sitting on this because we're getting run over by people that will tell you everything you want to hear and then stab you in the back.
Well, I look at it this way. Would you only speak about Christianity and God in the church? Or would you go out there in the streets and talk about it? Would you talk about it to your neighbors? Would you talk about it to your family? if you want to be silent as a Christian and only express your love for God in the church, not a Christian.
Well, here's the problem with that even, when compared to our political parties. I spoke at my grandfather's funeral, I guess 9 or 10 years ago. I'm not going to say the denomination because I don't feel like getting into all that, but they don't believe like I believe. And however, I told the preacher there at the visitation, I said, hey man, just as a courtesy, I didn't have to tell him nothing. My family, we're going to do this funeral the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to get up and I'm about to walk everybody down the Romans Road. Let them know how to get to heaven. Because there are people in my family, there are people in my family that will never hear the word of God preached again. They will never walk in a church again. They will go back to drugs. They will go back to alcohol. And this is the shot. And that preacher looked at me and said, hey, funeral's no place for that. You're not here to preach.
Why not?
And I said, excuse me? And
Most of them I've been to, they preach.
And he said, I'm going to give the message. I said, you can say what you want to. And he said, if you do that, I'm going to bring hellfire and brimstone for 2 hours talking about how you don't know what you're talking about. And then he goes, hey, this guy gets, now this is a little country church in Farmersville, Louisiana. Okay, like, I mean, and now we're in front of the body, and he just getting closer and closer to me. He goes, why don't we just walk outside? Well, by that time I'm pissed. I'm like, let's ride, baby. Let's go outside. I walked by my uncle and hand him my glasses, because I hate breaking glasses.
Yeah.
I hand him my glasses, and he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so he's the third man out the door. And he goes, what's happening? What's about to happen? I said, I'm about to beat this preacher's ass right here in this parking lot.
Wow.
And anyway, we calmed down a little bit.
The only thing I got to say to that is, Zach, can I come to the next funeral you go to? I mean, my God. I mean,
my family gets fired up, baby. And this is my mom's side. My dad's side is just like that, too. But anyway, because he's like, you're not, because a funeral's no place to preach the word of God.
every place.
So anyway, what do? I changed it a little bit, but I brought a message the next day. But all that saying, the same thing happens with the Republican Party. Oh, we can talk about it, but let's not too much. Now's not the time for that. Now's not the time for that. Well, let's wait. And here was always the thing. Well, let's wait till we get the House. Okay, well, we've got the House. Well, we just have the House. Let's wait till we get the Senate. Oh, okay. Well, we can do that. Well, we're going to need the presidency. Okay, we've got all three. Well, we need the Supreme Court. Oh, okay. So now we've got all four. What are we waiting on?
Yeah. Or, well, we don't have the votes. You know, we can't break the filibuster, so let's not even bring it up.
And we set the rules.
Yeah, it's like, how does anybody know where people stand if you never move forward?
Yeah, you know? The filibuster is easy to break. First of all, go back to an actual filibuster. Okay, you can do that with a simple policy move. You stand here and speak.
Right.
We're not just going to call it a filibuster because you know, put the Mr. Smith goes to Washington on it. If you can speak, if you can speak, then get up. But other than that, it's not a filibuster.
Right, and you know, filibuster is not a constitutional thing. It's a Senate rule.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I would much rather have, you know, I hate the 17th Amendment. You know,
17.
It's where the Senate was elected by popular vote.
Yeah, I hate that too. Because it cut the knees out of the states.
It did. And we're a worse off nation for that, because now you have a House and you have a super House.
Yeah.
Which is the Senate.
Because it's popular vote. So just for everybody listening, the way it used to be, you elected your state representatives and the House of Representatives, and then your state house elected the senator that was going nationally. And then if that senator didn't act right, your state house could pull them back out of Washington, D.C., correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. They could recall them and put a new person in there.
And so that was a states' rights, states' power thing, and that got taken away by the 17th Amendment.
And if we didn't have a 17th Amendment, we'd still have lefty senators in there, because you have lefty state houses, you know. But the thing is, they would be representing their state.
Right.
You know?
Not the national interest. Well, the national interest, but not the national wins.
Not the issue of the day.
Yeah.
Not the, because the Senate was always called, I was taught in school, the saucer that cooled the tea. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it was the deliberative body. It was the great statesmen were there.
Right.
And they weren't out there with a hyperbolic
right.
speeches that they were
Yeah.
doing. They would go in there and they would consider things, and they would protect their state.
They were the dignified chamber.
Yeah, and they were protecting their jobs by doing what the state wanted them to do.
Yes.
Now, people go, yeah, well, I don't know if I want, Gavin Newsom selected a senator. Well, it wouldn't be any worse than what you got now.
No.
Some people say, I don't know if I want Abbott, in the state house selecting a senator.
Right.
But I go, we got Cornyn, yeah, yeah. So I like, a senator will go in there and fight for Texas, not for the national government,
For Texas.
for Texas.
And each senator should be fighting for their state.
Yeah, and making alliances with like states that want policies enacted at the federal level. That was a true check and balance.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
removed that check and balances, like we've done so many other times. These runaway judges who are out there actually trying to run the country,
Yep.
superseding the executive branch. The legislature could go in there and start firing all these judges.
But they won't.
They won't.
Well, so let's kind of finish up on some local
Okay.
stuff. So when because we just beat this horse all day, and I think we're right.
This is fun though.
Yeah, no, I'm with you because it's just so. But it all starts locally. We can effect change here
Yes.
that will run through the state house. That can. I mean, we can. By the time you start getting our voting block, if we can consolidate power and move it, then we can have some effects on your Fallons and your Morans and make that all starts with your precinct chair and your county chair.
Absolutely. In fact, if you can start making your voice heard, and I'm not talking about a county chair or a precinct chair, I'm talking about the average voting majority in your county,
Yeah.
and you can increase that voting majority, and you can start wielding that power, but then you start working with the other counties around you.
Right.
Now you're saying HD1 as a voice, a council of county chairs,
Right.
5 of them, can go out there and tell your state rep, hey, we want these issues taken care of. We want bills filed. We don't care if they're passed or not, but we'll
Right.
be watching because I know the tricks to
Yeah.
filing a bill and not getting it moved.
There you go. I have to watch my Schoolhouse Rocks, and
Yeah.
I'm just a bit.
Only a bill. But then, and you take that and you say, okay, Senate District 1,
Yeah.
what is it we're looking at here? There's 19 counties in Senate District 1.
Right.
If you start working at those lower levels and, having the debates here, deciding what the issues are, do some polling, see where we are as a people. And then we put that to our state reps, our state senators,
Right.
our congressional representation, we start making a difference because right now, I don't really see a lot of Democrat versus Republican.
No.
I see a lot of rural Texas versus urban Texas.
It's like if you were going to name a radio show after that, what would you call it?
Let's Awesome More Texas.
Oh yeah. How can people find that?
They can go to Spotify.com
Yeah.
and pick up any one of the about 70 shows that we have out there.
No, and they're good too. Let me ask you this: when is the primary? March 3rd.
March 3rd.
Early voting starts
17th of February.
February.
So we're about 6 weeks away from early voting.
Yeah.
We're 2 months away from actually having our primary. And this primary is not where you're selecting Democrat versus Republican. You're selecting the best Republican, or on the other side, the best Democrat, to
Yeah.
represent this district.
To represent you.
Yeah.
Who follows your principles.
Yes, and the ones that you believe in, the ones that you trust. You may trust the other guy for whatever reason, but
Right.
don't be because you sit next to him in church, not because he did you a favor down the road. Look at his policies. Look
Yeah.
at what he's saying. What will he do when he gets that position, and then hold him accountable?
Well, and here's my thing: do they have the courage to say what they'll say in private in public?
Absolutely.
Are they going to run and hide behind some made-up account, run and hide behind somebody else, kind of say it in the back, but never want to? Well, I'd hate to say that in public. If I'm saying it to you, because I'll say the exact same thing on here as I will say to you in the truck.
Yep.
I mean, it just is what it is. So we need to get the cowardice out of our party.
Well, you know what? It's not even just cowardice.
It's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it, but actually taking a stand and a position on something.
Yeah, and sometimes you lose when you do that.
Exactly. I rather, Theodore Roosevelt is one of my hero presidents, and his Man in the Arena speech.
Yeah.
Really, really hits me.
Yeah.
It's like, until you know the taste of failure,
That's
can
right.
you only know the success of,
Yeah.
the sweetness of
The
success.
sweet victory.
Yeah. It's like, yes, because you fight. You're in there. You're a gladiator. And we are.
Yeah.
In this day and time, we're at a choice. I think we're swinging our way, but a year ago, I thought it was swinging the other way. And right now, it's not, I'm not saying it's over.
It's
I'm
not
saying
settled,
it won.
yeah.
I mean, tonight at midnight, a Democratic socialist is going to be sworn in as the mayor of New York City.
And have you seen, talk about news stories, have you seen what they're doing with being able to buy buildings there? It's called COPA, I think, COPA.
I've heard something about that. You're the real estate guy, so you know a lot more than I would.
So what they're doing is, let's say that this building we're in, let's say that you own it and I want to buy it.
Right.
So you put it up for sale. And so what they'll have to do in New York now is have a 180-day period that they offer it to the city and any nonprofit that wants it first. Well, what happens in 180 days of anything being on the market? Like in Texas right now, the average to sell a house is like 140 days. Okay, so, but if you and I are going to buy a property, I'm watching the days. The longer the days, the smaller that offer gets.
Yeah.
Because you're wanting to sell it. So which side note, for those that don't know, 180 days is 6 months.
Why should the government have preference over a private individual?
That's exactly
and
right.
buying anything.
So that's going into effect tomorrow with the new socialist mayor of New York. And we're going to see this, hopefully, everybody's like, well, I want him to do that. I don't want him to do this. I don't believe what he believes. I want him to fail miserably.
So they'll have New York City cherry picking the best properties in New York City
That's
to
right.
put under government.
Taking away
Ownership.
private ownership.
Yeah, see, that's
You know I'm big on private ownership.
that's BS, and that's
That's not. I tell you what, the founders would throw some tea in the harbor over it.
absolutely. I mean, and New York should do the same thing.
Absolutely.
But you know what?
But once again, a lot of people not paying attention. Get the free house and the free food. You want to hear something crazy? I'll say something radical. You ready?
Okay.
I think you've heard me say this before. When it comes to voting, now this is going to get wild, Dale. If you don't pay in the same amount of taxes as benefits as you receive, they turn your Social Security number off from voting the next year. So if you're even, and you don't get more from the government than you give, you pay tax. I mean, you get to vote. If you pay in more than you get back, you get to vote. But if you're a taker and not a maker, I don't think you should get to vote. I know that's a wild, crazy thing.
And I think we've talked about
I
this
think
before.
we have.
and we disagree on this.
Yeah.
Because circumstances.
Well,
are different.
and you would have to have some exclusions. Okay, over 65.
No.
I mean, we could do something.
I hear what you're saying, but the thing is, you should not have the ability to take from the government.
We could do that.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's like, who says the government should give anybody anything, other than defense of this country and keeping our capitalist system going?
We used to be capitalists. I don't know what we are now.
Well, we're going back that way.
Yeah,
apparently.
we certainly are.
But it's all these NGOs out there, non-governmental
Yeah.
organizations. Well, as soon as they take the first penny, which we're not making anymore, of government money, they are government entities.
And they turn around and the UN uses them to subvert us in every way.
And they go back and they fund Democrats who gave them the money in the first place. It's like, no, you should not do that.
Talking about pennies and not making them anymore. Did you see that they did a 200 penny run that have an extra omega symbol on them, and they put them into the standard dispersal? So there are 200 pennies that only look a certain way that are 25 pennies, and they're the only ones that have like an omega symbol or something different on them.
Well, I did not know that.
So be watching. There are only 200 of those that exist.
The thing I do know about pennies is the very last penny that was struck, the U.S. government auctioned it off.
Really?
That penny cost $16 million.
That's impressive.
You know, Trump was happy about that.
Yeah, he was.
You know, because he throws that back into the Treasury and stuff.
Exactly.
But, you know, we're not making, there's still government tender. You know, there's like 300 billion, I don't know how many pennies are out there in circulation. They're thinking about making nickels, but they're also thinking about making Trump dollar coins.
That's hilarious.
They're also thinking about making a $250 bill to celebrate the 250th anniversary.
I'm okay with that.
Well, Trump wanted his picture on it, and they're saying only dead presidents get on on paper money.
We got to bring the $1,000 bill back too.
But they said they are actually they said like in the next 10 days they're going to finalize the design on the dollar Trump coin, and that will be legal tender.
Let's do it, baby.
Yeah, I'm all about that. You know?
I'm good with it. All right, we're going to get out of here, everybody. Dale, thank you for coming in again.
No problem, brother. Anytime, you know, every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. All right, everybody. I hope God blesses each and every one of you. Hey, if you want to reach out, you can do so through just email me, ZachRatliffShow@gmail.com. Go ahead.
And one thing, since we're still in races, you can go to my Facebook page, Holes for Bowie GOP.
Yeah.
You can go to my website, holesforbowiegop.com.
Yeah.
Look at what I'm saying. You know, join the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, get in touch with me. Give me some money. You know, whatever.
You can look on some of my Facebook pages. Dale and I are talking on Facebook, so you can find him on there too.
There you
All right,
go.
everybody. I hope God blesses all of you today. Have a good day.